Now, in order to be an effective channel of energy, we have to have a proper understanding. I feel that it all begins with our state of mind. So when I look at the universe, I see that the intelligence of the source consciousness, I oftentimes use the word God to refer to it. The intelligence of God is creating everything. The intelligence of the universe is creating this experience. The intelligence is beyond our human comprehension. No religion, in my opinion, has ever adequately explained what God is. They're all trying to, but God is greater than the human mind can comprehend. We're all doing our best, but again, we're just limited forms of consciousness in this universe right now. As we awaken, we discover more of who we are. We move towards God realization. But right now, we're just limited human beings trying to understand the grandness of life. So there's this supreme intelligence that's creating everything. And its mind, you could say, has created the energy and the dimensions and the forms, and also the laws that govern the forms. So I think any scientist, any philosopher, any spiritualist would agree that there is some sort of intelligence at work, and through that intelligence, everything is being created. So I want to start there because when we look at ourselves, we are essentially designed the same way. Our intelligence creates our experiences. Your understanding determines how you feel. The emotional vibration you feel as your personality is determined by your understanding of who you are. Your understanding of who you are is also based upon your understanding of the world. If I, for example, believe that anything is possible for any human being, if I put this idea on the world at large, that anything is possible, and I really believe it, for myself, I'm also going to feel very free. I'm going to feel like I have amazing potential to be realized. If anything is possible for any human being, then we all can achieve greatness, including myself. So any idea I put onto the world, I include myself in. You'll often hear people talk about the world in restricted, negative ways. And if you look at their personal life, oftentimes they're experiencing a lot of limitation and therefore a lot of suffering. And how they feel as a personality is related to those beliefs of limitation. So that person who says the world's bad and it's limited and we can't really free ourselves, we can't really do anything, the world doesn't let us, you're going to notice they feel heavy and depressed and they're not really inspired, enthusiastic people. So our understanding about life is broadcasting itself as frequency, and we feel that frequency. We feel it as temporary emotions when we have reactions or interactions with our environment, and we also feel it as this constant experiences of who I am as a human being. So if I have a pessimistic outlook on life, if I have all of these ideas in my mind that life is limited and it's based on suffering, I'm going to feel, based on those beliefs, a depressed, lower vibrational energy. The sound of my voice, how my body moves, even my physical health, it's all going to reveal to me that this understanding is being expressed. So my emotional energy will feel it, my personality will feel it nearly constantly throughout my day. I want to start there because our understanding determines our vibration. So if you're going to be an energy healer, your understanding has to be able to take you to these higher levels of frequency. A lot of spiritual teachings have you connect with God or source or an ascended master or Jesus Christ or Siddhartha Gautama Buddha or Mother Mary or the white light or the golden light or the violet ray. There's something beyond our human self that inspires us, and our personal mind believes it exists, and our personal mind desires to connect with it. So our mind has identified something greater than my human self, I want to connect with it, and I know I can connect with it. Those three pieces allow us to then become a channel. I'll say that again because it's very important. Our understanding of life determines the frequencies we can access. Our understanding of who I am as a person determines my emotional range. The more I believe in human potential and unlimited things, the happier and more expansive I can be as an emotional human, the greater my range of emotional feeling. If we want to channel higher vibrational spiritual energies, in our mind, we have to believe that there is something greater than ourselves to connect with. And it can be many, many different ideas, but we have to believe it's greater than myself, greater than my personality. We have to understand that I can connect with it. It exists and I can connect with it. And the third thing is that I can channel it through myself, right? That it will connect with me in such a way that I can channel its energy through. If any of these three pieces are missing, we're going to notice that our ability to channel healing energy is impaired. If I don't believe there is a higher power or a greater source of healing light or some spirit guide or being that's going to help me, then I'm going to feel like I can't connect to anything. If I doubt the existence of non-physical reality, I won't be able to connect to non-physical reality because my mind, like the mind of God, shapes my personal reality. Okay. If we believe in greater things, we essentially open the door and allow ourselves to connect to them. So if we're trying to be an energy healer and we notice that we're struggling, the first thing to look at is, do I doubt the existence of something greater than myself? Do I believe I'm just a biological life form and I'm struggling to believe that there are other dimensions, especially higher dimensions of spiritual energy? If I don't allow my mind to accept, even in a curious way, that there's something greater than myself, I'll find it very difficult to connect to anything beyond my biological level of existence. So we really want to look at that if we're having difficulty. The second part is the belief that I can connect to it. So I believe, for example, God exists, or Saint Germain exists, or Archangel Michael exists. Something exists greater than me. I believe it, I do. But do I believe that I can connect to it? Because sometimes we have shame or guilt. Sometimes we think that I'm not good enough. Why would God want to speak through me? Why would the universal source want to help me? Sometimes we have these religiously conditioned ideas of shame and guilt. Why would God want me to be a healer if I have all these limited beliefs, if I don't think I'm a good person, if I abuse myself psychologically, right? And essentially, these are all just ideas we've been taught. We can believe whatever we want to believe. Right? But if we're trying to be a healer and we've accepted ideas of shame and guilt, beliefs of inferiority, if we've accepted any of these, we're going to find that our ability to connect to these higher beings or higher vibrations or source consciousness becomes impaired. Okay, so that's the second piece, right? We have to have all three of these ideas present in order to channel healing energy. The first is I know it exists. The second is I know I can connect with it. Okay. So these open up that it exists, open up the connection to it. And the third is that it will channel energy through me. I can be a channel of healing energy. So not only can I connect with it, but I can channel from it. Okay, that last part is relatively easy if we get the first two parts in our mind to be correct. Right? I believe it exists and I can connect to it. The third part is just letting yourself be a channel, which means trusting in this process of receiving from something greater. Usually, if we have a block in this third area, we're going to find that as soon as we start noticing some energy appearing, we're going to get afraid. We're going to notice our hands get hot, for example, and then we become afraid and we want to stop doing the energy healing practice. Or we start noticing some vibration, or we start seeing some lights maybe, and then we become afraid. So this last piece requires us to stay in that channeled state, to stay safe, right? A feeling of safety because we're trusting this process. Now, sometimes in spirituality, different energy healers, different channels, different spiritual teachers, they're going to warn you. And they're going to tell you that there are negative energies and there are beings out to harm you and you should be afraid, right? I've never accepted those ideas to be true for me. I realize they're true for other people because I see other people causing suffering to themselves and others, having psychological distress, maybe even psychic attacks, for example. But for myself, I never wanted to put energy into any beliefs based on fear and based on negativity and lower vibrations. It just never made sense to me to do that. So if I know the first idea, if I know that there's a higher power, a higher being, a higher energy, a higher dimension, source, I want to connect to that. And that's where my mind should stay focused the whole time I'm doing the energy healing. If I'm trying to channel healing energy and I start going into fear because some shaman or psychic or some friend told me about negative entities or demons or whatever it might be, now my mind is in a different stream, a different thought stream, and therefore a different emotional feeling like fear. And now I'm no longer focused on the higher blissful energy that's healing. Now my mind is creating a fear energy that's actually destroying, right? So there are negative emotions and they cause stress and suffering. They break down the health of body, mind, and emotion. And there are higher ideas and higher energies that are creative. They build up our health physically as well as psychologically. So when we're doing this energy healing, we have to know that there's higher things that we can connect to. We have to know that they exist. I can connect with them. And then we have to stay connected to them, which means if our mind becomes distracted, we just have to bring it back. So the whole time you're being a channel of energy, if you're connected to God consciousness or source consciousness, you have to keep your mind focused on that. And that's what's going to allow you to continue to flow this stream of energy through your mind and body. And it's also going to allow you to become a greater channel of that specific quality of intelligence and energy. So my personal advice to you is move away from all teachings of negativity. It doesn't mean they don't exist. I live in the same world as all of you, and I witness there's a lot of suffering in this world, but there's also a lot of happiness in this world. And in my mind, I have the freedom to choose what I focus on, because whatever my mind focuses on determines what I feel. The ideas I focus on determine my vibration, my emotional quality. They also determine the types of actions I perform. If I'm in the energy of fear, a low vibration, I'll do a different action. I'll make a different choice than if I'm in a high vibration of love, for example. I'll say different words. I'll do different things if I'm in a high vibration compared to a low vibration. So in order to be a channel of anything, and in this class, this lesson today, a channel of healing energy, we want to understand what we're focused on, stay connected to it. Anytime we're distracted, just come back to feeling it. So practically, when we're doing this healing practice, the way it's going to look is we're going to try to keep our mind connected to what it is that we want to stay a channel of. Okay, so I'll give you some examples. If you want to channel God, right, this healing energy of God, which is actually what Reiki is based on. So Reiki is a Japanese term that essentially means the energy of God. Right? The energy of God. Ki is the same as chi, right? Spelled Kichiqi, and Rei is a supreme being or supreme consciousness, right? It's this universal or source or God state. So Reiki is being a channel of source energy. Okay, so if you want to be a channel of source energy, your mind has to go into its own understanding of what God is. Your understanding of what God is what you have to bring into your mind. So when I say God to you or source to you, Do you imagine it to appear as a light? Do you imagine it to appear as a being? If I would say your higher self, how does that appear? If I would say Saint Germain, how does that appear in your mind? Right? Whatever it is you want to channel on or channel from, your mind has to focus on, and you have to honor that the way your mind understands it is the correct way. You can't doubt this, because if you doubt it, you break that connection. Remember our three principles. You have to know it exists. You have to know you can connect to it, and you have to stay connected. Know you can receive from it and stay connected.